Your Empress Master seeks to possess you all to herself. I secretly lock you in the sect's dungeon, and they come every day to bully you fiercely, because your senior sister and junior sister also want to possess you at the same time. Even the Supreme Empress of the Demon Path covets you greatly. All of this is because you are the legendary enchantress. Once the physique is activated, everything in the world will take a liking to you. But you gradually realize all the women who approach you are all Yandere in the dark dungeon. Your hands are tied to the headboard, desperately looking at the silver-haired, cold-faced woman pressing down on you. Your voice has become hoarse. Master, I promise I will never speak of this matter. I swear. Do you think there's any point in saying these words now? Enjoy it thoroughly. The silver-haired woman revealed an extremely alluring, sickly smile. She let out a muffled groan, slightly furrowed her willow brows. Her gaze then became dreamy, biting lightly on the full, plump red lips. A delicate, charming voice suddenly issued a sharp allure. But you haven't felt anything beautiful. Just a face full of deep disdain and love. I really like your scent. You always make me want to devour you. Do you know, today, during the sect meeting, I just want to do it this way. Yuo Yubing's breathing became increasingly rapid. She is the respected leader of the righteous path in the eyes of the world. It is the top of the world's 10 most beautiful places. The cold and elegant master of the Tiandao sect remains high above, but at this moment her beautiful eyes were filled with sorrow. Cheeks flushed, appeared extraordinarily enchanting, until the woman's face flushed red and she let out a muffled groan. Satisfied, he got up, licked her full red lips, still yearning for more. Yandere, you take care of yourself. I will come again tomorrow. Then the man with a sickly obsession said, It's just the two of us here. You will always be mine. You can only be mine. But you didn't pay any attention. Just close your eyes. Yuo Yubing curled her red lips. Next time we meet, I hope you can smile at me. After all, you used to smile beautifully. After speaking, he untied the ropes that bound you. Then turn around and leave here. After walking out of this dungeon, her expression instantly seemed to change into another person. The expression was icy cold, filled with a breath of life. But you can't see this scene. You slowly open your eyes. Empty gaze, replaying the words that Luo Yubing had just said in my mouth. Next time we meet, I hope you can smile at me. After all, the old you looked really beautiful when you smiled. Unconsciously, a spark appeared in your eyes. In the past. What was my past self like? Time seems to have suddenly returned to 4 years ago. 4 years ago, a deist priest from the Heavenly Tao sect brought you to an enormous mountain peak. The peak is the tallest and most imposing mountain of the entire Tiandao sect. This is a place where only the sect leader can reside. Known as Leader Peak, this is the place where you first met Luo Yubing. 4 years ago, you were only 14. I still don't quite understand these constitutional reform factions. If it weren't for the fact that one's own parents had already died in the war, if it weren't for being completely broke, even eating becomes a problem. You wouldn't choose to follow this person to come here either. Later, you will meet our sect leader. Note, don't show your ugly side. Deist Lai from Jian advised you. What does the sovereign look like? You can't help but ask. In your heart, the so-called sect masters are multi-talented and powerful. Hearing your question, the guide's face turned sticky. Just remember, he is the strongest person in our Tiandao sect. He is also the strongest person in the world. Soon they reached the peak. What caught the eye was a huge and extremely luxurious mansion. Not far from the main gate of the residence stood a massive peach blossom tree. It is the season when peach blossoms are in full bloom. A gust of wind blew by. The fragrance of peach blossoms wafted towards me, blowing through your long hair. But you just stared blankly at that peach tree. To be precise, it was the woman beneath the peach tree. The woman had striking silver white embroidered hair. The white folds are delicate, resembling the beauty of a celestial being, although she emanated a cold aura. The gaze was extremely indifferent, as if there were no attachment to the world at all. Added a touch of ethereal detachment from the mundane world. Kid, are you out of your mind? Lydeorin tapped the back of your head, waking you up. With a face full of fear, pay attention to your own behavior. At this moment, you finally come to your senses. Hastily lowered her head in panic. I dare not look at this woman again, to avoid falling into it again. Lydeorn finished explaining and then left. Only you face you being alone. At this moment, you feel like you're about to gasp for breath. The heartbeat became even more intense. Lift your head up first. I have some questions to ask you. Yes. You secretly swallowed. Then slowly raised his head. But still, I didn't dare to look directly at Luo Yubing's face, looking at the tips of his shoes. Luo Yubing didn't pay much attention, either. Kieu asked, You were born on September 9th, right? Yes. Why did I agree to join Tiandao's sect? You were slightly taken aback. Then her gaze slightly dimmed. Now there is fighting everywhere down the mountain. In the midst of the raging war, I lost my loved ones. I am also broke. Maybe it's better that we came here after all. After all, there's nothing here worth my attachment. Luo Yubing's expression did not change at all, just a soft mem. It can be considered a response. I now wish to take you as my direct disciple. Do you accept it? What? You look utterly astonished. Aren't you willing? Luo Yubing saw your expression and then Zimei unconsciously frowned slightly. Suddenly, an overwhelming aura surged, exploding from Luo Yubing's body. Willing. I am willing. You feel like as long as you say the 3 words I don't want to. The next second I would collapse on the spot. So he quickly nodded in agreement. At this moment, Luo Yubing finally reined in her aura. She said coldly, All right, kneel down. Saying Bai Shilai, you feel a tingling on your scalp and dare not disobey. I could only listen in confusion and do as told. You only dared to ask after it was all over. Master, what made you want to take me as your disciple? You really have a fierce look. Everything seems to be progressing too quickly. You didn't react at all. You look handsome. Luo Yubing glanced at you sideways. Said expressionlessly, You really pushed hard. Come with me. Luo Yubing is not looking at you. Turning to walk towards the grand mansion. You hurriedly followed. But I didn't dare to get too close. Luo Yubing walked ahead with a slight frown. The gaze unconsciously grew colder. I hope what Tianzhi said is true. Otherwise, Luo Yubing's gaze became even sharper. You unconsciously shivered as you walked behind. After Luo Yubing walked for a while, arriving in front of a house. He pushed the door open and walked in. Do you think this is the room he prepared for you? But when the door opened, a young girl practicing meditation sat on the bed in the room. The girl looked to be just around 20. Egg-shaped face, wearing a platinum-colored robe, revealing a pair of fair and elongated eyebrows. But what is most captivating is the surge of the waves. Sensing someone pushing the door open, the girl immediately approached and bowed to Luo Yubing, then inquired, Master, do you have something you would like to instruct your disciple to do? Yuo Yubing didn't even glance. He said softly, "This is your junior disciple, Ling Yan. Wenner, take him around to get familiar with the surroundings. Also explain the rules of the door to him. Just handle whatever he needs based on the situation." "Good master." Mu Wenner nodded respectfully in agreement. Luo Yubing stopped saying anything. "Turn around and leave on my own. I will leave you here. You always feel that your master is very indifferent to you. I don't know where I made him unhappy. I'm a bit confused. Junior brother, don't take it to heart. Master's personality is just like this." The girl revealed a sweet smile. "My name is Mu Wanner. It's your senior apprentice sister. You can call me Sister Wanner from now on." "Okay, Senior Sister Wanner. How many disciples does the master have, including you?" "The master has 3 disciples. I'm low-ranking. You also have a second elder sister. However, he just went to the mortal realm to travel. I probably won't see him for a while. But this might be a good thing for you. It's a good thing for me. You find it a bit strange, but I won't think too much about it anymore. You'll understand when we meet then. Senior sister, so where will I live in the future? Come with me. Let me tell you some important points about our sect." Mu Wanner introduced the situation of the Tiandao sect as she walked. "After arranging a room for you, I'll take you to prepare some daily necessities." At this moment, in a certain room of Lingxiu Mansion, Yuo Yubing's expression was indifferent. "Your grandfather had a favor to me in the past. This is because now I will take you as my apprentice, to save you from the earthly wars and conflicts. This is fruit. So this matter has come to an end. But why is there still no sensing of the aura of the Tao of heaven? Do I really have to protect him until he dies of old age? Will this cause and effect truly come to an end?" Yuo Yubing thought for a moment. "In the end, I decided to observe for a while. You and your senior sister strolled around, after buying the daily necessities, and returned to Lingxiu Mansion. After tidying up, you see the senior sister lying on her own bed reading a book. How did this senior sister end up on my bed? Senior sister, where should we go to eat?" "Eating? What to eat?" Mu Wanner said with confusion. Then, looking at your dazed expression, finally remembered that this junior hasn't started cultivating yet. "If you want to eat, either spend snacks to go to the restaurant, either do it yourself. But I find it troublesome, so I usually eat the bai gu dan." You seem a bit stunned. "This thing can definitely fill you up, but it has no flavor." Reluctantly, you can only ask your senior sister to help you buy the ingredients. Cooking in the kitchen. Sister Wanner is also very happy. After all, the temptation of food is quite strong, and someone is doing it. The ingredients were quickly bought back. During the cooking process, Senior Sister Wanner asked you about some of your information. Upon learning of your tragic experiences in the war down the mountain, she stared blankly at the 14-year-old boy in front of her. She had no idea how much suffering the young boy had endured at such a young age. Suddenly, Senior Sister Wanner walked up to you, holding you in my arms, gently stroking your hair. You froze directly in my embrace. But Senior Sister's embrace is incredibly warm. Embrace your weaknesses. You gradually calm down. It's not appropriate to have the dishes ready. You asked Senior Sister Wanner to also call Master Luo Yubing. Luo Yubing eats very slowly. Extremely elegant. Chopsticks always add just a little bit of food, then placed into the slightly parted, luscious red lips. Chewing slowly. This dinner feels a bit overwhelming for you, but seeing Wanner occasionally chatting with Luo Yubing, you gradually start to relax. Luo Yubing put down her chopsticks. "I took a glance at you. Then he said to Mar, "The Ling Temple will open tomorrow. Wanner, take your junior brother to test his qualifications. There are also attributes. Let's see how his talent is." "Good, master." Yuo Yubing nodded slightly. No more was said. "Get up and leave." After finishing dinner, Mar reminded you of a few things before leaving. The next day, Mu-Er brought you to the sect's spirit hall to test your aptitude, looking at the group of elders and the newly joined disciples. You seem a bit anxious, especially when everyone learns that you are the newly accepted direct disciple of the sect leader. You became even more anxious. The elder originally wanted you to test first, but senior sister Wana refused. She doesn't want to put pressure on you. So let this be your final test. As the qualification test begins, you notice an exceptionally stunning girl among the new students. During the stage test, she glanced at you. You felt when she looked at herself just now. It seems like she knows herself. The gaze feels very familiar. The girl's test shocked everyone. Top-tier qualifications. But the girl remained very calm. Not the slightest bit of shock. Instead, my gaze inadvertently swept over you. Many talents also emerged in the subsequent tests. Finally, it's your turn. You seem a bit nervous. Step by step, he walked up to the testing platform. Place your palm on the test ball. Qualifications are being downgraded. For a moment, the entire hall fell into a terrifying silence. You are very disappointed. Lowering my head, I felt a bit shy to look at Muer, afraid to see disappointment in her face. But you find yourself embraced by a warm, soft body. Meanwhile, one hand gently caressed its own head. "It's okay. What is this?" "In the future, I will buy you some elixirs. We eat every day, envying them to death," Mu-Er said with a pained heart. Her gaze has become much more resolute than before. At this moment, someone in the audience started to heckle. Her talent does not match the status of a Kieu disciple. What is the sovereign really thinking? Can't even tell people apart anymore. Watching the elder's words become increasingly harsh. Mu-Er protects you behind him alone, constantly arguing with them. You feel like everyone in the grand hall is watching you. Various malicious gazes were cast in the heart's voice. I even heard that they want to discard you and choose a new disciple. A cold and proud voice emerged. "Shut up." For a moment, it felt as if the entire world had been muted. All is quiet. A snow-white figure slowly floated in through the main gate of the spirit palace, looking down from a high vantage point at the group of sect elders and new disciples. Her expression was cold and alluring, exuding a sense of dominance. After slowly scanning the area, Dan spoke softly. "She is my disciple. None of your business." In an instant, no one dared to speak again. One person intimidates everyone. This is the world's strongest warrior, Yuo Yubing, the leader of the Qiandao sect. This moment in your eyes. She was like a soldier coming to rescue her, shrouded in mystery. You gaze longingly at the lofty Yuo Yubing. Her figure was deeply etched in my mind. Time flows swiftly like a shuttle. It has been 3 years since the Lingian test. What happened that day has gradually been forgotten by most people. After all, everyone has their own life to live. That day, Mar took you to buy vegetables at the market. A group of women gathers together, watching the two of you, face like a peach blossom. Her gaze was both shy and filled with anticipation. You feel helpless. I don't know why. As you gradually grow up, every time I go out, more and more people are watching you. They even gathered around to watch you, pointing fingers at you. In an instant, you felt that same fear in the spirit temple again. You have now far surpassed her in height. So she frowned slightly, very dissatisfied. She pressed her body closely against your arm. The whole person is almost leaning against you. Then stood on tiptoe and touched your head. A satisfied smile finally appeared, and you feel the softness coming from your arm. It makes your heart flutter uncontrollably. But then I turned my head, not daring to think too much. It's just that you didn't notice the hint of cunning in Mara's eyes. She glanced at the women around her who were gritting their teeth in anger. His gaze was filled with provocation. It was as if he was declaring his ownership over them. What are you looking at? She is mine. I won't hand my junior disciple over to you bad women. Strolled around the market with my senior sister for a while. Bought some spiritual bones and spiritual books. You also returned to your own room to cultivate. In 3 years, there hasn't been any significant change in this room. Like the giant peach blossom tree outside the door. At dusk, it is drizzling outside. Your gaze out the window grows increasingly dreamy. It was hazy, like mist in the rain. 3 years have passed unknowingly. Like a shooting star, it fleetingly disappears. I haven't seen Master in a long time. From time to time, the figure of Liuo Yubing appears in your mind. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. For the past 3 years, the Master has spent most of the time in seclusion and cultivation. Only appear before you on rare occasions. Sister Wenner is still the same as before, just became increasingly close to her. She is becoming more and more caring towards herself. It even feels a bit overprotective. But you think as long as senior sister is happy, that's enough. Second senior sister heard that the task has been completed. I will come back after a while. However, senior sister Weiner always felt a bit worried for some reason. Just try not to make second senior sister angry when the time comes. If she doesn't like herself, then just try to block her as much as possible. You no longer get tangled up in this. Stretching lazily. Then go prepare tonight's dinner. After arriving in the kitchen, you deftly started to get busy. But in just over half an hour, the 4 dishes and 1 soup are ready. After the dishes are served on the table, arriving at senior sister's door. Then knocked. Senior sister, it's time to eat. Okay, I'll be right there. A weak voice from Mur came from the room, as if just waking up. After the door opened, Sister Wanner rubbed her eyes, stumbling out in a daze. I didn't see ahead and crashed right into you. You notice that Shiji's clothes are a mess right now. Sister, your clothes. It's nothing. Mur was taken aback for a moment, then casually straightened out their clothes in front of you. You turned around voluntarily. But my mind is filled with the beautiful images I just saw, looking at your red ears. Mur unconsciously puckered up her little lips, reaching out with delicate hands, pulling you forward. Let's go eat. In no time, Mu-er happily set down his chopsticks, touched his little belly, show a refreshing expression. Junior, you have been here for 3 years now, so I have to complete a sect mission. Have you decided which task to take on? Although you are a disciple of Qingxuan. However, the tasks were no different from those assigned to other disciples. I suggest you do it like me. Just take a task that can be completed in the sect. You nodded. I don't really want to go down the mountain either. Then I know. I should choose a task to cultivate spiritual herbs. Mars' sect task was to inscribe the protective talisman on the magical artifact. He is a top-level Fuin master. Mu-er curved her red lips. This is all so good. I will go with you to pick up the task tomorrow. No need, senior sister. Aren't you meeting Fairy Mingwen from Unipeak tomorrow? We need to go help Mingtefuin properly. I don't want to go. I want to go with you to take on the mission. Mu-Er's little face instantly fell. Started the spoiled mode. This is after he got familiar with you. One of the habits that began to emerge. You looked at Shiji's sparkling eyes, and his pitiful expression. Almost couldn't hold back. In the end, I still turned my head one last time. Cross your arms. Unfeeling rejection. The next morning early, after finishing breakfast, Mar pouted her lips, kicked you gently in annoyance, then stepped onto the flying ship, flying towards Unu Peak without looking back. He was afraid that if he looked back, he wouldn't want to leave. You watch him leave from behind until the figure disappears. Then you arrive at the affairs hall. At this time, only the task of taking care of the spirit beasts is suitable. The job involves going to Spirit Beast Peak to take care of the sect's spirit beasts. The task duration is 3 months. It requires 2 people together. You fought for a moment. I compared it with other tasks again. I realized that I truly have no special skills. I could only sigh helplessly, reaching out to take the task token for caring for the spirit beast. Then he got up and prepared to head to Spirit Beast Mountain. However, a discordant sound came through. "No. Isn't this our esteemed master's direct disciple, Brother Lin Yanlin? Long time no see, long time no see." You hear this voice, and you know who it is. Turn around and look back. Indeed, it is the robust Wang Chai. There were still those present during the qualification test at that time. The green tea-bitch Liu Lion, who keeps fanning the flames. There is also a tall and thin lackey named Wan Ming, and Wan Chai's followers. These people are all jealous of you, a useless person. However, the sect master took him as a direct disciple, Brother Lin. Let me see the direct disciple of the Sovereign Lord. Which sect mission did you choose? Wan Ming mocked sarcastically. You didn't pay any attention. Li Lion, next you saw how much you wanted to eat the pancake. A glimmer of excitement flashed in her eyes, but her face still showed a look of deep concern. It seems like they want to mediate the conflict. But the poor, innocent girl completely lacks this ability. I see you not speaking. Wan Ming suddenly rushed over to grab your task card, but you avoided me with a face full of indifference. You look at Wan Chai, did not pay attention to Wan Ming. This guy is just a clown. The real mastermind is still Wan Chai. You look at me while speaking. Wan Ming hates it the most when others ignore his presence. So he would try every possible way to highlight one's presence. But you still didn't even look at him. I can't be bothered to waste my breath on him. Renmin University. Wan Ming angrily threw it at your face. This punch would probably break the nose bridge. Wan Ming has been annoyed by your face for a long time, because he couldn't accept why all the girls were only looking at you. You didn't dodge this time. A graceful sidekick. Wan Ming was kicked out. Wang Chai next to him wore a significant smile. You hit my friend. What do you think we should do? Stop with all this nonsense. Aren't you just waiting for me to strike him? Do you have a reason to take action against me? You looked at Wang Chai with a serious expression. Fight with Wang Chai. You have no confidence at all. You are just practicing Kai. With your cultivation talent, it should only be the 4th or 5th layer of Kai training now. However, these years have been late. Senior sister has been giving you elixirs. I stubbornly bumped into the 8th level of Kai training, and the Wan Chai before me. The assistant's phase has been reached. He is quite clever, but what good is being smart? Wan Chai Ning smiled as she walked towards you, looking down at you from above. Aren't you curious why they keep picking on you? Don't blame me, who makes others feel uncomfortable about you. I just made a deal with someone, that's all." Without hesitation, he threw a punch towards your head. You also struck towards him at the same time. The collision between fists. It was obvious that Wang Chai had the upper hand. You backed away several steps, feeling choked. A trace of blood also appeared on their lips. But your gaze hasn't changed at all, staring straight at Wang Chai. And behind Wang Chai, Liu Lion is watching you. Show a hint of disgust. "Aren't you very curious? Whoever is upset with you, trade with me." "Do you want to know?" "But I won't tell you. I also find you annoying. Why do you exist like this worthless trash? Can also become a disciple of King Kieu. Do you think you're worthy?" Wang Chai twisted his wrist, with a ferocious grin on their face, walking towards you again. You spat a mouthful of blood onto the ground. Then they walked towards Wang Chai. At that moment, a cold voice came through. "I think he is worthy. Do you have any suggestions?" A lowly girl approached. The crowd quickly squeezed out a respectful smile and stepped aside. The humble girl looked calmly at Wang Chai. Wang Chai squinted his eyes. "The complexion looks poor." Spit out 3 words from between the teeth. "Zhu Zioking." "This doesn't seem to be your business, does it? I can't stand seeing my fellow disciples being bullied. What happened? Is there a problem?" Zhu Zioking said expressionlessly. There was no intention to regard Wang Chai at all. He has the confidence to stand firm. Wang Chai's tightly clenched fist suddenly relaxed. "Then I came to your side," he said fiercely. "Let's have a friendly chat again next time." "Brother Lin." "Still not okay. I have no interest in men." You replied to him with a smile that didn't reach your eyes, then turned to look at Zhu Zioking. "Show a bright smile. Long time no see. Thank you, heroine, for your timely rescue. I will remember it clearly. If the heroine ever needs assistance in the future, in the next moment, we will lend our full support." Zhu Zioking smiled, fell flat. "Are you okay?" Zhu Zioking's smile. Everyone was left speechless. This woman can actually smile. At this moment, even Wang Chai was taken aback. You have seen Zhu Zioking smile many times, so there wasn't anything particularly surprising. In these 3 years, the girl in front of you is your only mission, but there are not many who know about your relationship. Which sect mission did you choose? The task of caring for spiritual beasts. You showed her the task token in your hand. Zhu Zioking nodded. This task is also good. At least there is no danger. But you look at her quite awkwardly. She must have just returned from her mission. Have you eaten? I invite you to the restaurant for a meal. Did not eat. But I want to eat what you made. Zhu Zioking curled her red lips into a gentle smile. And nearby, Liu Lion heard your conversation, facing away from you. His face involuntarily revealed a sickly, strange smile, but it was fleeting. No one saw it. Then Liu Lion approached the task board. Without hesitation, I chose the task of caring for the spirit beast. His expression became increasingly excited. She really wants to see you cry. That must be very interesting. Liu Lion couldn't help but stick out her little tongue to lick her lips. His eyes unconsciously narrowed. On the other side, you followed Zhu Zioking to her residence, a beautifully designed small house. There are many flowers and plants around. Appears vibrant and full of life. I can't believe you have such a hobby for gardening. You looked at Zhu Zioking with some disdain. I originally thought she was the type to be deeply focused on her cultivation, a person who is interested in nothing else. Zhu Zioking heard this. The corners of my mouth couldn't help but rise. A hint of pride showed on their face. Then you walked into the kitchen to prepare a meal. The space is a bit small. Wait for me outside first. I'll call you when I've finished cooking to take the dishes out. But Zhu Zhaoqing nodded. Then I lay down on a wicker chair outside. Lying on the wicker chair, gazing at the distant sky, a wisp of smoke drifted from the little house towards the distance. A person is cooking for themselves at home. Life is already wonderful. Zhu Zhaoqing felt the refreshing coolness of the breeze. Can't help but close my eyes and enjoy it. Zhaoqing, Zhaoqing. You called out several times but did not hear Zhu Zhaoqing respond. When I saw him lying in the wicker chair, Zhu Zhaoqing didn't know when she had fallen asleep. You were taken aback for a moment. Then he couldn't help but reveal a helpless yet comforting smile. He shook his head and turned back into the kitchen. At this moment, Zhu Zhaoqing does not know what she dreamed of. The sunset reflected her happy smile, as vibrant as the roses outside the window. When the moon rises high in the sky, her eyebrows twitched slightly, then slowly opened bright eyes. She didn't know when she fell asleep on the bed. A blanket was still draped over him. After getting out of bed, I opened the door. I saw you sitting by the dining table. Zhu Zhaoqing felt like she really hadn't woken up. This scene feels like something only possible in a dream. Will it really appear in reality? She couldn't help but pinch her own little face. It turns out to be true. You watch Zhu Zhaoqing's baffling actions. It's a bit intense, too. What's wrong with you? It's nothing. I just had a dream. A very happy dream. The next morning, leader's style, a figure suddenly appeared in front of your room door. With a wave, he opened the door. That figure quietly walked to your bedside, quietly watching you still asleep. After a while, the figure gently took off their shoes, silently climbing onto your bed. It is somewhat similar to Sister Wanner's. You suddenly open your eyes. Looking at the situation in front of me feels a bit adorable. Sister Wanner is sitting on your bed. You can smell the enchanting fragrance emanating from your senior sister. What's even worse is you can clearly feel that soft, burnt body. Senior sister, what are you doing? For a moment, you really didn't react. Sister Wanner looked at you with a face full of sorrow. Where were you out fooling around last night? You are a bit fierce. I went to a friend's place for a meal, so I came back a bit late. Mu Wanner looked displeased. That friend of yours is a girl, right? How do you know? You were stunned for a moment, said with a bit of surprise. After hearing your confident response, Sister Wanner suddenly felt unwell. Later, you are not allowed to stay out too late. What would you do if you encountered danger? I will be very worried about you. You feel warmth in your heart. Good. It won't happen again next time. This is more like it. Then get up already. I'm hungry. Okay. I'll cook something for you right away. Mu Wanner pouted, then slowly sat down on the other side. After you wake up, she took over your bed, lying in the spot where you just slept. You hurry up. All right, call me once. Let's go now. You left the room with a sense of resignation, running around busy in the kitchen. After you left the room, Mu Wanner's true colors are revealed, burying my face directly into the pillow, breathing greedily. He. This is the scent of my junior brother. Mu Wanner's gaze began to blur. And you have been busy for about half an hour. I brewed a bit of spirit porridge, cooked a few small dishes. After the dishes are served on the table, knocked on the door after returning to the room. Senior sister, time to get up and have breakfast. Here it comes. You always feel that senior sister's voice sounds very ordinary. Did I just sleep for a little while? Then I saw my senior sister. He stumbled out of the room in disarray. Spring awakening. A blush still lingered on her face. She feels like she's in a sleep-induced haze. When she rubbed her eyes with her little hands, the silk robe slipped from her fragrant shoulder. You don't dare to keep watching. With a flushed face, he left behind a remark. Senior sister, your clothes. Then he hurried back to the dining table, watching your fleeing silhouette. Mu Wanner initially appeared with sleepy eyes, instantly turned into a half-smile, half-mock expression. A faint smile of pride lingered on their lips. Adjusting her clothes as she walked, seemed to be in a great mood. At the dining table, your face is flushed like a rosy cloud. Senior sister, it's not me saying this to you. Pay attention in the future. Stop being so drowsy all the time. Just ruin your own clothes like that. What does it look like? Just at appearance. In the end, your voice is getting quieter. Her voice was as delicate as a thread. The face turned red again. Mu Wanner felt a secret joy in her heart. Junior brother is really interesting. Every time this topic comes up, their face turns a shade of smoky red. So adorable. After having breakfast, you headed to Spirit Beast Peak to carry out the mission, where Shaiji was supposed to go with you, but you refused. Upon reaching the destination, the steward Hewing from Spirit Beast Peak introduced you to the general situation of the task. Every day, feeding the spirit beasts, and hold them back from fighting each other. At the same time, you also learned. A very cute and sweet-looking female disciple also took on this task. After you walk into the spirit beast garden, a seemingly delicate silhouette. Back to you. Can't see the face, but you always feel like you've seen me somewhere before. Heard a noise coming from behind. The figure of the girl stopped her movements. Then I turned back to look at you. The two bends fly around. The vinegar has not yet faded. A pair of four-spirited flying eyes, cold as dew. You are Liu Lion. How did you end up here? You watch the woman in front of you with some caution. I wanted to see you cry. Don't let me be idle. Liu Lion was secretly complaining, but with a furrowed brow, they looked at you with a pitiful gaze. Lane Shikshin, could you please help me put this on the shelf? What scheme do you have? You look at Liu Lion. Do not act rashly, afraid that one careless move could bring a group of burly men surrounding you. Then you said you were disrespecting Liu Lion, seeing the vigilance in your eyes. Liu Lion knows about your wariness towards her. So now she really doesn't intend to trick you. Not very effective. And this simple pit, it will only increase your anger, unable to achieve the heartbreak effect she desired. Senior brother, I know you have many biases against me, but now we are all disciples who have taken on this task. Let's focus on work first, shall we? Liu Lion still looked delicate and fragile. You didn't say anything, glanced around a few times. After confirming that no one was hiding to ambush you, just helped Liu Lion put the bag on the shelf. You hold a grudge, recalling the aptitude test from 3 years ago. This bad woman keeps mocking. You have already placed her on the exclusion list, but the task has already been accepted. It must be completed. You can only grit your teeth and stay here. Forget it. Anyway, I won't provoke her. 10 days passed quickly. In these 10 days, Liu Lion has surprisingly not come to trouble you. You also live comfortably. It was time for a break. You returned to Leader Peak and started busying yourself with the dinner. Junior disciple, I'm back. The person hasn't been seen yet. The voice of my senior sister has already arrived. You don't understand either. Continue the busy dinner. Muware quickly made her way to the kitchen. I rushed towards the figure stirring the dish. Muware hugs you from behind. Your head is still buried in my neck and back, sucking fiercely. Gazed eyes. Occasionally, it emitted a sound of satisfaction. Since you went to leader peak, senior sister always reacts like this whenever she sees you. You feel helpless. I always feel like I've become a pet in my senior sister's eyes. But a gentle sensation came from my back. It makes you feel a bit embarrassed. The figure of my senior sister. Lao Bad Dao is too much. The meal is ready in a little while. Originally, dinner was usually just the two of you, senior sister and you, because the master is usually in a state of seclusion. But today, Luo Yubing also came to the dining table. Seeing Master Luo Yubing, you are certainly very happy. It has been almost 2 years since I last saw him. He remains the same as always. Feng Zai Zhuo Yu, like a fairy fallen to the mortal realm. Master, it's been a long time since we last met. It seems you have gained something from your recent training. You smiled happily. Luo Yubing followed with a sound. I will talk to you about some things after we finish eating. Good. Luo Yubing turned to look at you. Dad, he is quite satisfied with your appearance. But when he detects your cultivation level, her brows furrowed slightly. Then he assessed the cultivation level of the wooden doll beside him. The expression grew colder. At this moment, you can sense it too. Something seems a bit off. But I didn't dare to say anything. After finishing the meal in a tense atmosphere, Luo Yubing spoke up. Let's talk about serious matters. In about 6 months, the Xuanwu secret realm is set to open. At that time, the sect will select disciples to participate. The minimum cultivation level to enter the secret realm is the assisting strike stage. So Lin Yan, your skills are too poor. I just heard your senior sister say, you have taken on the feeding task for Lin Shufeng. That's great. Don't come back for the next 3 months. When will the breakthrough assist return? After hearing what Luo Yubing said, you haven't had a chance to speak yet. Mu Wanner couldn't sit still any longer. Master, junior brother has worked very hard. I will also help him more. Don't blame him. Shut up. And you. 3 years ago, you were in the mid-stage of your original sound. We are still in the middle of the original sound. It seems these 3 years have been quite lazy. You go into seclusion. When did we break through to the later stage? When will it come out? Master, no room for discussion. Luo Yubing's decisions are never subject to change by anyone. At this moment on his exquisite face, surprisingly, a trace of annoyance appeared. Are you going by yourself or do you need my help? Disciple, go by yourself. Mu Wanner looked at the expression on Luo Yubing's face. No one dared to say anything anymore. Just lowered her head and weakly agreed. Let's leave it at that for now. I also have to get busy. Luo Yubing vanished right after finishing her words. Only the two people facing each other remain. Mu Wanner sighed deeply to the heavens. My junior has passed away. You are speechless. I haven't returned yet. Senior sister, just focus on your cultivation. I'll tidy up the dishes. Then go train for a while. Don't. Practicing all day is really boring. I heard from the master that you weren't like this before. If it's because of taking care of me that you fell behind in your cultivation, that won't do. You looked at your senior sister with a serious expression. Mu Wanner awkwardly turned her head, not daring to give you directions. One can't say they don't want to cultivate. Looking at her dazed expression, you gently looked at her and said, Thank you for your hard work over the past 3 years. But I have now grown up. You should have your own life as well. After saying that, he no longer looked at her. Clean up the tableware. Turned around and left here. Mu Wanner gazes intently at your departing figure. The expression became strange. In the end, she couldn't help but lick her red lips. Indeed, I have grown up. It seems like it can be eaten after raising it for 3 years. Looking at your busy figure in the kitchen, her expression grew increasingly strange. When you finish everything and prepare to cultivate, there was a knock at the door. Do you know who would come looking for you at night? Besides the senior sister, there shouldn't be anyone else. Get up and open the door. Outside stood indeed senior sister Mu Wanner. What's wrong, senior sister? Is there something wrong? I forgot to give it to you earlier. These are some elixirs. I have noted down the effects of each medicine. Then eat during the cultivation. Mu Wanner took out a blue Kieu bag. Put it in your hand. Suddenly I remembered something. Take out a red elixir. Put it into your other hand. This one is specially prepared for you today. Elixir for enhancing cultivation. The medicine's effect is a bit overpowering. Let's eat this one first tonight. I will protect you here. If something happens, I can also help you in a timely manner. You look down at the Kieu bag in your hand, and there is that red elixir. The eyes gradually became moist. The care my senior sister has shown me over the years. It can be said to be meticulous. Until now, she is going into seclusion. Still remember to prepare my elixirs. You hugged my senior sister tightly, eyes glistening. Senior sister, do you know? Sometimes I don't even know how to repay. It's okay, it's okay. This is what I should do. It is said like this. But you can't see her expression at this moment. How dazzlingly enchanting it is. Gaze lost in thought. A smile ripples. How to repay? No problem. You'll find out soon. I don't. You should lose consciousness soon. Anyway, you are the best repayment. Thinking and thinking, Mu became increasingly excited. The fist clenched even tighter. Junior disciple, no need to be polite. You said you would make me a big meal. All right, all right. You should take the medicine first. I will help you protect the law and refine it. Mu pushed Ling Yan away in pain. He said to her gently with a smile, although I am reluctant to leave her embrace. But a small dish can never compare to a grand feast. Just wait a moment, and it'll be doubled in return. Okay. Sorry to trouble you, senior sister. Begin refining the elixir. Her cultivation technique is similar to Master Luo Yubing's. There is also a difference with Sister Hua, rather special. Call the Tianyunzi Kikon. It is Luo Yubing based on her qualifications. Selected for her. The most suitable cultivation technique for her, although it is not the strongest sect, but it prevails over Hishi. Moreover, the auxiliary techniques inside are extremely valuable. She has been able to reach the 7th and 8th levels of Kai refining so quickly over the years. Besides taking drugs, also, there is the enhancement of this cultivation method. Let go of your mind. Induction of medicinal effects, then operate the cultivation technique. Absorb the medicinal power, although it wasn't Ling Yin's first time taking the elixir. But she carefully reminded her, so that she can absorb the medicine's effects more effectively. Very soon, Ling Yin felt the effects of the medicine starting to take hold. A surge of immense spiritual energy erupted, and the spiritual energy from outside surged wildly into her body. At the same time, she also felt a hint of heat in her body. Calm the mind. Ling Shen, senior sister is here to help you. Mu approached Ling Yin from behind. A delicate little hand rested on her back. Use true energy to help her sort out the medicinal effects. Guide the flow of medicinal power. After about 10 minutes, The turmoil of spiritual energy within Lingyan gradually calmed down, and she successfully broke through to the ninth level of spiritual energy. She slowly exhaled a breath. Then open your eyes, turning around in surprise to look at senior sister. I was just about to say something. Suddenly, I felt an overwhelming sense of fatigue wash over me. Senior sister, I did it. I I feel so sleepy. This is me. Is it too exhausting to deplete all your spiritual energy? Lingyan felt her body. Suddenly felt extremely tired. I feel quite drowsy. Consciousness gradually slips into sleep. Xiao Yan. Shitty. What's wrong with you? Wake up, Xiao Yan. Mu Wei looked anxious. Patted Lin Yan's cheek. Xiao Yan, wake up quickly. It seems you've fallen asleep. That junior disciple. Senior sister is here to keep you company. Mu Wei was speaking. The anxious expression on her face became rosy and enchanting, looking at the still sleeping Lingyan. A hint of a thought-provoking expression appeared on her face. Muttering to oneself, the Taoist's medicine is indeed quite good. Truly a masterpiece from the holy man. Thought it was a new name. I just can't catch you. It wasn't in vain that I forced her to make this pill. Do you know, Xiao Yan? I didn't have these feelings for you before. But watching you grow bigger and bigger, as I grew increasingly handsome, I slowly realized something was off with me. Whenever I see other girls, when I cast a loving glance at you, I feel very uncomfortable inside. There was even an impulse to kill them all. Mewell's expression became sickly, with charming eyebrows and eyes. The corners of the mouth rise, speaking of her usual identity and demeanor. Completely mismatched words. Now you belong to me. Let's give each other our first time. With a wave of his hand, he closed the door. With another wave, the spirit lamp was extinguished. Feng Yu's body is close to Ling Yan, which feels strange. When did I fall asleep? Morning. Lingyan opened her eyes. I found myself already lying on the bed. A layer of blanket was also covering him. She thought for a moment. Yesterday, senior sister came over. After handing her the elixir, help her refine the medicinal power again. Later, I broke through to the ninth level of Kai refinement. But the spiritual energy is also exhausted. Fell asleep from exhaustion. I hope I didn't do anything rude yesterday. It should be fine. Everyone is fast asleep. I wonder if she is overthinking. I still feel the lingering scent of my senior sister on the bed. And there is also a strange smell. She lifted the blanket and sat up. After changing into clothes and putting on shoes, just wanted to stand up, but then stumbled, kneeled directly on the ground. There was a persistent aching pain in the lower back. Lingyan had a fierce expression. It was fine when I just sat down, but when I stood up, the body feels particularly weak. Weak and powerless. It's as if my body has been hollowed out. No way. Just broke through to the ninth level of Kai refinement. Is my body really that depleted? Lingyan is feeling a bit unwell at the moment. Her qualifications are truly lacking. If it weren't for the senior sister's elixir support, it seems impossible to break through the ninth level of Kai refinement. Of course, if Mart is here, and hear her heartfelt words. I guess I won't be able to help but mumble shyly that it's nothing special. It hasn't stopped all night. Can still get up. Already very impressive. Lingyan had no choice but to sit cross-legged on the ground to recover for a while. Then I managed to regain a bit of my composure. The red pill given to me by my senior. The medicine's effect is too overpowering. The after effects are quite serious. But it's good that I can recover in just one day of rest. She felt the changes within herself. while tidying up my belongings. After all, if Master Ryan Bing speaks up, only after cultivating to the stage of Juanji can I return. Actually, there's nothing much to tidy up. She quickly pushed open the door. Start preparing breakfast. But thinking about it, senior sister has already entered seclusion today. So there was no doing her part. After eating, her condition has already improved significantly. She then took out her flying artifact and headed to Spirit Beast Peak. The journey that originally took half an hour, it was turned into more than an hour by her. There's no way. Tired, I took a break for a while. After returning to the room on Spirit Beast Peak, she threw herself heavily onto the bed. I don't want to get up anymore. It's okay to be lazy sometimes. Lingyan squinted her eyes. I fell asleep without realizing it. When I got up, it is already noon. She opened the door. As I stepped out of the temporary resting cabin, the blinding sunlight made it impossible to resist. He shielded his eyes with his hand. Your move. So disgusting. Liu Lion is enjoying the cool breeze. Seeing Lingyan come out, I was momentarily stunned. I feel like her demeanor has changed a lot. It seems like they've become more mature, but I didn't think much about it. He couldn't help but throw a jab at her. She is currently sitting on the observation deck outside the cabin, resting. The wind has started to blow. The observation deck is about several dozen square meters. Very wide. The top of the platform is covered with a canopy of trees and grass. Block the sun. It won't shine on people. Moreover, it is very cool here. Her body floated on the dark red railing. A slender, pure white little hand rested on the chin. The eyes gazed out at the vast expanse of the lawn. Don't look. Dig out your own eyes. This is the best way. Lingyan rolled her eyes, not indulging her at all. She was definitely sure that Wan Chai would cause her trouble. There is definitely a part. It's because of the seemingly weak girl in front of me who is inciting. Liu Lion heard this. I just glanced back at her, not speaking. Continue to turn your head towards the lawn, watching the spirit beasts playing and frolicking on the lawn. A gentle breeze blows. The green grass stirred up a ripple. The sound of waves began to rise. When the grass is at the bottom, a large gray and white cat poked its head out. At this moment, her eyes are looking this way. The moment I saw Liu Lion, the eyes brightened slightly. When I saw Lingyan, the expression immediately fell. This little guy. Lingyan saw a cat. Such a human-like expression. All were laughing in anger. It's just that Lingyan can't see the place. A joyful smile quietly unfolds. She looked toward the cat named Zio Huey Huey. Secretly gave a thumbs up. How did my suggestion last time go? The beauty worked directly for 5 days. Then rest for 5 days. Lingyan did not pay attention to her little actions. He asked her in a cold tone, Not great. Your proposal does not pass with me. You must suffer mutual destruction. What benefits does this bring you? Don't you need more time to cultivate? Aren't they all the same? Is there any difference? It's just that. You want to go back to find your meticulous care, just taking care of your senior sister's playful antics. What if not? You want to spend more time with her. No way. Hey, from now on I will live here. I won't go back. Lingyan let out a cold laugh. She said in a tone devoid of emotion, I just can't figure it out. What exactly did I do to upset you? Why do you dislike me so much? Liking someone. You can learn from her. Find many reasons to like her. For example, appearance, personality, financial resources, etc. Does hating someone require a reason? Liu Lion looked at Lingyan. the mocking expression on his face, not hiding the divine in the slightest. She despised Ling Yan, just like a proud cat. I hate it like I hate mice. Uh, okay, it's up to you. Miss Liu is always right. Ling Yan shrugged, said nonchalantly, then turned and left. At the lawn, Little Gray was patiently waiting in a cave until a little spirit mouse cautiously poked its head out, assessing the surroundings for any danger. She seized the opportunity, took a bite. Since the leader of the class has emerged, living with Spirit Beast Fang, it has been over 10 days. She is skilled in taking care of spirit beasts. It has become quite familiar, except for a little gray one, no matter how close she gets. How to feed her delicious food? She just ignores Ling Yan, only cling to Liu Lion. Seeing Ling Yan made me feel a bit annoyed, especially when she saw Liu Lion looking at her. That sarcastic smile. Even more annoyed. This scheming, heartless woman. Where exactly is it better? Ling Yan mumbled to herself while cooking rice, grumbling in indignation. Now that she has come here, it's also a choice to cook for oneself, although you can eat the wall-bone Dan. But those who have experienced war and famine, who the hell loves eating that thing? Cultivating immortality is for the sake of eternal life. Eternal life. What is it for? Isn't it all for a better enjoyment? She is not the type to pursue being number one in the world. Moreover, it's the best in the world. Having her master Luo Yunbin is already enough. Why think so much? There are still more than 2 months left. Definitely don't do it at that time. No more ties with her. Absolutely. About 10 minutes later, she brought the dishes to the observation deck. There is a small round table there. There are a few more chairs. But usually, she is the only one sitting there. Liu Lion prefers to sit on the resting bench next to the railing. Not bad. A feast for the senses. Moreover, Uncle Ling's spiritual energy is fading. It has also decreased a lot. Ling Yan looked at the dish she made with satisfaction. It feels like there has been some progress again. She did not waste her free time inviting the chef from Tianxian Tower with fine wine and delicacies, seeking advice on experience, although I haven't learned any unique secrets or techniques. But it was also quite fruitful. She picked up a coconut, took it out from the kainkan bag. A hole was opened and poured into the cup, using spiritual energy to perform some small tricks. Chill the coconut milk. Take a few bites of rice. Take another big sip of coconut juice. It's simply a huge pleasure. So refreshing. If there's time later, I'll come down from the mountain. You can go buy some blood flower beer invented by Sanhao Genren, although the name is associated with evil and malevolence. But I've heard that's what true refreshment feels like in the world. Ling Yan lazily lay on the chair, having a meal under the blue sky and white clouds. Occasionally sip some coconut juice. Be as leisurely as you wish. The world is busy and bustling. Busy with work, busy living, busy practicing cultivation, busy until old age. I just realized I've missed many people, missed many sceneries, missed out on a lot of delicious food. This is indeed a great regret. Liu Lion feeds the spirit beasts on the lawn. I glanced up at Ling Yan unintentionally. After seeing her contented expression, I hated her even more inside. Her gaze grew increasingly disdainful. Her gaze shifted slightly. Then she looked at the little Kieu resting on her shoulder. A sly smile filled with malice appeared on his lips. She leaned down and whispered a few words in Zio Huey's ear. Then he looked up and indicated the position of Ling Yan. Zio Huey looked as if he suddenly understood. The cute cat head keeps nodding. Indicate that she has already understood. Liu Lion took off her necklace, gently patted her cat's head. Suddenly, Zio Huey darted away like a flash of gray lightning, rushed towards Lin Yan. At that moment, Lin Yan was happily eating her meal. There was no preparation at all, until after Little Gray climbed onto the table and tilted his head to look at her. She then noticed. It left her slightly dazed. Little Gray, isn't she over by the lawn? And the jade beast ring on her neck? Lin Yan instinctively glanced over at the lawn, suddenly realized. Liu Lion shook the jade beast ring in her hand towards her. A pitiful appearance. Lin Yan frowned at the sight. But what does it mean? She accidentally took off the jade beast ring. The Lin beast will run wild like this. The Lin beast ring is gone. They won't obediently listen. But it's none of my business. Today, anyway, it's not my turn on duty. Moreover, the things she did herself. It was her bad luck that something happened. Whoa, as she turned her head, watching Liu Lion in that moment of deep thought, Zio Huey suddenly stretched out his little paw, knocked all her lunch away. When Lin Yan turned her head to try to stop it, it's too late now. Only Zio Huey is left on the table, staring at her with innocent eyes. With a look of grievance mixed with stubbornness, Lin Yan shouted in anger. She couldn't believe it. A cat can escape the jade beast ring. Later, I climbed up to her place, just to slap her lunch away. Do you believe it? Anyway, she doesn't believe it. Liu Lion still wore that innocent expression on her face. Her eyes became moist, biting her lower lip gently. It was as if she didn't know what she had done wrong. A seemingly harmless and delicate young girl. Lin Yan broke the chopsticks in her hand in anger, watching Lin Yan finish packing her things. The silhouette of someone leaving in anger. Liu Lion unconsciously revealed a bright, sunny smile. It's different from the disguise she put on. It is a smile that comes from the heart, feeling truly happy and at ease. Ahead. Then he lifted her and spun her around on the lawn, like a gracefully dancing spirit. Since that day when Zio Huey tipped over her lunch, Liu Lion would occasionally unlock the jade beast ring on Zio Huey. Let it out. Let her play freely. She will also obediently come back in the evening. Then find Liu Lion. Let her wear the jade beast ring. Just go back and eat and sleep. It was as if there was a special understanding between them. Of course, this is limited to Liu Lion. She still ignored Lin Yan. Often, she would also lift her little bottom towards her. I saw her lips twitching. I said, I have been taking care of you for almost a month now. Can't you be nicer to me? Lin Yan looked at him speechlessly, shifting one's own bowl to another direction. Leave the butt to her gray cat. A bit helpless. Her hair is very long, but it does not collapse. Instead, it looks quite delicate and beautiful, eyes brimming with spirit, especially between those twitching ears. It makes one unable to resist wanting to touch it. Lin Yan had secretly touched it once before, but since then, she saw Lin Yan and lunged at her to bite. Liu Lion applauded and cheered. Later, I bought some small dried fish for her, and that calmed her down. Such a bad temper. Just like that dead schemer. Sen Jiao Zhenren was right. Avoid provoking someone with a dark side. Who knows how much ink is in their stomachs? How deep is the color? You call me scheming with every breath. And you? At this moment, I don't know where Liu Lion suddenly came from, looking at Lin Yan with a cold smile. The weather is nice today. On a sunny and breezy day, suitable for sleeping. Go back to sleep. Lin Yan directly ignored her, stretched and yawned. Then I prepare to go back to sleep. A useless person, relying solely on my senior sister. And the master is a useless bum. Are you amazing? This woman to you. Only by reaching this level of cultivation. Uh, Say whatever you want. I'll just assume you are envious and full of resentment. I envy those who are loved. Jealous that I'm happier than you. Hating my parents for not loving me. Ling Yan spoke casually. At the same time, I was tidying things up in my hands, preparing to go back. At that moment, she suddenly felt the aural fluctuations coming from behind. Her hair stood on end in an instant. The body rolled forward, clumsily dodging an ice spike. What are you doing? Are you crazy? Lin Yan looked at her clothes. A hole was opened by an icicle. She looked at Liu Lion in frustration. But after seeing her appearance, his expression suddenly turned serious. At this moment, she looked sorrowful. She shot an angry glance at Lin Yan. Didn't even notice. Tender lips have been bitten by myself. Uh, isn't this just what I said to myself? Linian now regrets having spoken too freely. This is equivalent to reopening old wounds. At this moment, Ling Yan also realized. My own mouth. It seems quite sharp. Shut up. I don't want to listen. She seems fine now. It was as if they had completely lost their mind to anger. The spiritual energy within surged wildly. Ice spikes formed around her, shot towards Lin Yan. Seeing Liu Lion truly provoked by her own stimulus, Lin Yan felt a bit regretful at this moment. She hurriedly dodged the attack. Fortunately, the spirit beasts have a sense of crisis, stronger than bilinian. At the moment of sensing the disturbance of spiritual energy, they have all run away. Otherwise, I guess, they will also be affected. Calm down. Doing this gets noticed. But there will be punishment. Ling Yan dodged 2 more ice spikes, yelling angrily at Liu Lion. But she is like this now. I can't listen to it anymore. Looking at Liu Lion's eyes, which were red, attacked her as if possessed. Lin Yan was also quite scared. But soon I got back into the right state. Press, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Seeing Liu Lion really made me furious. Lin Yan no longer wasted words. She squinted her eyes. His expression became unusually calm. Wandering for so many years, there have been encounters with danger. Sometimes it has to be a bit harsher. Taking out a sword from the Kainkan bag. After splitting the ice spear she shot at me, Lin Yan rushed towards Liu Lion. Since I've already been so infuriated that I can't think straight. Then bring her back to calm. Liu Lion watched as Lin Yan ran over. There was not a hint of fear in her eyes. She is also a successful force in achieving the strike. Not afraid at all. Lin Yan, still practicing at the 9th layer of Kai training. Qingfen, a giant Qingfeng sword condensed from spiritual energy, appeared before her. With a flick of her finger, in an instant, it shot towards Lin Yan. The overwhelming pressure from the flag. It even affected her ability to act. Wu Dong Shan, but Lin Yan did not panic, but instead took out a talisman. After injecting spiritual energy, throw it towards the giant sword. Suddenly, this spirit talisman, when leaving her fingers, ignited in an instant. A small purple hill formed from condensed spiritual energy, appeared in front of her, blocked this strike. However, there clashed between the two. The commotion was quite significant. Ling Lai's energy fluctuations are visible from several kilometers away. They can all sense it. At this moment, she is bowing her head to sort out the expenses for the spirit beast fire stones. There are some other materials. After sensing the turbulent energy fluctuations of the riot, her brows instantly furrowed, then looked towards the direction where Lin Yan and Liu Lion were. They started fighting. I clearly told them to get along well. So it's said, hot-blooded youth can really be troublesome sometimes. Hu Wengjai shook his head. After putting down the materials in hand, slowly moved the chair and stood up. As she stepped out, the figure vanished in an instant. It was as if she had never appeared in this room. Lin Yan is now holding the amulet gifted to her by her senior sister, consumed one. It is quite heart-wrenching. Suddenly, the anger shifted to the girl in front of him, whose eyes were also red. Her body was like a sharp sword. Suddenly appeared in front of Liu Lion. Without hesitation, he struck down with his sword. Liu Lion now drew a bronze ancient sword and charged at Lin Yan. Everyone stop. When two powerful weapons are about to clash. Hu Wengjie suddenly appeared between the two of them, holding a sword in one hand. Spoke with a cold expression. I don't care who started this. I won't ask you who is right or wrong. I only know, if you don't stop now, all of you go to receive your punishment. After seeing Huang's gaze, they finally calmed down a bit, but still looked at the other person unhappily. The disgust in his eyes was very evident. Lin Yan didn't say much. After retrieving his sword, Zhao looked at Huang and gave a slight bow, then turned to repair the damage caused by their battle. Liu Lion no longer looked at Lin Yan. He turned around and went back inside the house, slamming the door hard. Lock oneself inside, in a room where no one is watching. Liu Lion weakly squatted on the ground, leaning against the door. A drop of crystal clear water glides by. What grudges do you have against each other? It has to be this way, either hit or be hit. After Liu Lion left, Hu Wengjie returned to his usual greasy self, laughing heartily. Placed his hand on Lin Yan's shoulder. A gossip magazine asked Lin Yan, didn't you say not to ask about the reasons? Don't you ask about right or wrong? Lin Yan turned her head to look at the uncle, a bit speechless. Hey, words are just words. But, oh dear, just curious anyway. Hurry up. Huang smiled awkwardly, but still chose to follow the desires of their own heart. The soul of gossip is burning. He shook Lin Yan vigorously. Let him say it out loud. Just let him go. Lin Yan sighed. Then, looking into the distance, facing him, the little Huey bared its teeth. Speak plainly. A proud cat. I saw a mouse that was happier than I am. I just felt it was unfair. After both sides had a fight, Lin Yan saw Liu Lion choose to turn and walk away directly. Liu Lion chose not to continue mocking Lin Yan, but he didn't receive a warm welcome either. When facing others, as before, there hasn't been any change. A delicate and gentle girl appearance. But when facing oneself, it looks just so cold. Lin Yan stumbled upon. When he saw the spirit beast in front of him, everyone can show a bright, sunny smile. But only towards myself, there's always a face full of resentment, look of disgust, even more than seeing something filthy, still unbearable. Sometimes he also felt quite baffled. There is no deep-seated hatred between them. Why does Liu Lion hate herself to this extent? Because of Master Luo Yunbing, because of Sister Wanner. It's still that second senior sister whom I have yet to meet. Or perhaps it's his appearance. Could it be that one's actions are done unintentionally, touched upon one of his taboos? But he thought about it again and again. In the end, I gave up on thinking, because I really can't think of anything. Only he himself knows the answer to this question. Sometimes Even the person themselves doesn't know. Why do I really have to hate that person? There are many inexplicable things in the world. Encountering someone who hates themselves. Indeed, it's not something unusual. Senior Sister Master, I miss you all. Lin Yan had only left Leader Mountain for about 20 days. At this moment, I can't help but deeply miss my previous life. He doesn't have many friends here. The best friend Zhu Zioking. He often receives tasks to go down the mountain for training. This period has been quite dull for him. How long have you been here? Can't stand the loneliness anymore. Yuang Jiaxi stuffed a bite of food into his mouth, making a smacking sound in their mouth. He looks quite pleased. This lifetime, it's Just Huang Leaj. Can you chat with me now? The other disciples would just keep their distance from me, let alone talking. That's because your identity is quite sensitive. He is the direct disciple of the sect leader, but the strength and talent are both like this. Yuang Jiaxi put down his chopsticks. Extend your right pinky finger. I used my thumb to cut a small piece off my pinky. Then, blinking and pondering, moved up a bit more. Lin Yan was left speechless by this action. Mei Hao shot him a glare. You come here to mooch food and drinks. That's one thing. It's too much to still hurt my heart. This is the truth. After all, everyone has their own pride. Qualifications are not as good as one's own. There are plenty of people whose cultivation is not as good as mine. They won't care either. The problem is that this person is riding on their heads. They met. You must still respectfully call him senior brother. This is for you. Are you not happy about it? I understand the reasoning. But what can I do? Actually, there are many female disciples who want to join. Unfortunately, your senior sister. Test, test, test. What happened to my senior sister? It's okay. Just talking to myself. Speaking. She drank another pot of wine. A refreshing silhouette emerged. It looks very greasy. All right. Fully satisfied and well fed. I should be leaving too. Yuang Jiaxi wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Then, looking at the gloomy sky in the distance, said, Lin Yan, you shouldn't go out during this time. A storm is approaching. These years. Natural disasters and man-made calamities are indeed numerous. Oh, with the strength of our sect's elder, change this climate with one's own strength. It can also be done right. Why not do it that way? Hee, good question. Sometimes it will also emphasize the issue of causality. So it can't be said that it's just in such an unrestrained manner. What if, unintentionally, changed what was originally meant to happen? Caught up by this cause and effect. Life and death are all light. Even the sect may be in turmoil. Is it that serious? You think, once, during a flood, there was a master of a first-class sect. Extend your hand to disperse the clouds and rain, returning the space to a peace of tranquility. But guess what? 100 years later, he was unexpectedly killed by someone. Moreover, the sect has been reduced to a third-rate sect. What does this have to do with cause and effect? The expression of Yuang Jiaxi became strange. He smiled and said, He dispelled the clouds and rain back then. In reality, it's just expelling them from their own territory. After a while, the clouds and rain formed elsewhere, and to the beings and things of that region, brought great destruction. I don't know how many families have been torn apart, but everyone should clear the snow in front of their own door. That area is not under the jurisdiction of his sect. So he didn't pay attention to the coincidence. At that time, there was an ordinary family of 4, a life that was once filled with happiness, completely interrupted in the raging storm. in the midst of thunder and lightning. Only the eldest son is left alive. My parents and little sister are all dead. Later, this eldest son became the overlord of the demonic path. I found out by chance. After this incident, just directly attacked the other sect and killed him. You say, what is this? Yeah, what is this all about? Feeling very frustrated. But this situation has arisen. She was greedy. Then, to take care of the spirit beast on the lawn, go to Liu Lion. I guess it's to remind him. Recently, do not go outside. Ling Yan felt a wave of emotions after hearing those words. I couldn't help but lower my head and ponder. This is something that happens naturally according to the way of heaven. Forced change. You will be entangled in karma if you can't bear it. Life and death are just a cycle. He shook his head, no longer thinking so much. Forget it. After all, I'm just a small fry. Those troublesome matters, let those big shots worry about it. Just as She said. Soon, dark clouds appeared in the distance. Gradually, it shrouded this piece of sky. It is noon now. The sky was pitch black. There is a feeling as if dark clouds are pressing down, urging a storm. At the beginning, it was very peaceful. There was no sound at all. The sound of insects chirping, Sung, has completely disappeared without a trace. All is quiet. It's still a bit stuffy. However, this tranquility was soon shattered. The leaves rustle softly. Fallen leaves swirl in the air. The branch is about to break. Even the trunk had completed a nearly broken arc. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Gradually, within the clouds, thunderstorm surges, like blue and white flashing lightning giant pythons. In the sea of clouds flickering out, Ling Yan is at the observation deck, leisurely gazing ahead, a scene as if the end of the world were approaching. I always feel the visual impact brought by this scene. It really is a bit big. In the face of nature, this kind of small embellishment, it is just like an ant. Spirit beasts are born superior, sensitive to changes in this climate, and their intelligence is quite high. No one would dare at all. Ran back to their own residence. Stay behind closed doors. Their dwelling. There is protection under the town law. For them, quite a sense of security. Lingyan also distributed 10 days' worth of rations to them all at once. Little Gray, Zio Huey. When She informed Liu Lionfang about the impending storm. On the surface, he, still that sweet smile, after Elder Hewing left. He immediately became anxious, always searching for Zio Huey's figure. Today is his duty shift. He took down Zio Huey's spirit beast once again, let him go about freely. But now, at this moment, he still hasn't returned. It always feels a bit off. Zio Huey's intelligence, almost like a child of 10 years old, sensing that this natural disaster is about to arrive. He should be lying in his little nest, sleeping soundly right now. Come out quickly. Small. Liu Lion felt a bit anxious at this moment, because Zio Huey never runs too far. But now, no matter how he calls, just won't show up. Lingyan watched as he took out the flying artifact, flying towards the distance. At the same time, they were calling out for Zio Huey. I hope he can hear it. Lingyan had no intention of helping. If you say you'll go help him, they will probably start fighting on the spot. Don't even mention going to find that big cat. After all, he didn't say anything either. You want Li Yan to help, right? Self-inflicted suffering. After getting up and tidying up the dishes, he returned to the room to continue his training. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. About 5 or 6 hours later, he suddenly heard someone knocking at the door. Triggered his defensive array. Yuangjaishi. Lingyan curiously got up to open the door. Let's see who will come to find him at this time. But when he opened the door, but found that no one was outside the door. Meow, meow. Suddenly he heard the sound of a cat meowing. Looking down, it turns out it was Zio Huey Huey who came to find him. At this moment, Zio Huey Huey. My whole body is drenched in fur. Looks extremely awkward. At the same time, there were sunburnt marks on the hair. Zio Huey Huey, you're back. What happened to your hair? Struck by lightning. Ling Yan looked at his disheveled appearance. I couldn't help but give it a little hit. He originally thought that Zio Huey Huey was the same as before. Will get directly angry. But unexpectedly for Ling Yan, he simply nodded. Then they urgently called out. Meow, meow, meow. No, I also can't understand what you're saying. I will help you take a bath. Hot water. Blow dry. You got hurt again. Needs treatment. Zio Huey Huey looked at Ling Yan, still looking puzzled, instantly more anxious. I wish I could speak. However, he has not yet reached the level of cultivation. Jindin Mei's abilities. Zio Huey Huey walked to his feet. He tugged at his pants. Then he walked a few steps to another place. He turned back and gestured for him to come over. This time, Lingyan understood. Seeing Zio Huey Huey has already run out of the rain, Lingyan sighed. So they hurriedly followed along. At the same time, using spiritual energy, covering the body with a protective layer, isolate the rainwater. Lingyan followed Zio Huey Huey across the lawn, crossing the rushing river, through a dense forest. All the way, he saw many tilted trees. But the originally peaceful creek has also turned into a rushing river. Raindrops fell like sharp blades, continuously struck against his spiritual barrier. The sound of clapping, the howling of the wild wind. It disturbs the hearts of people at all times. The most important thing is that rumbling thunder. It evokes an irresistible sense of fear. If you are in a room, Ling Yan might really enjoy this atmosphere and feeling. But when you find yourself in a torrential downpour, this feeling is quite uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. How much longer until we arrive? Ling Yan dodged a section of a tree that had been blown down by the strong wind. The expression began to show some anxiety, because his spiritual energy was almost depleted. Now, at this moment, the little gray one who was originally leading the way in front of him, he has already embraced her in his arms. A small paw reaches out in one direction. The gaze was full of pleading. Sorry, but I can't assist with that. If it's still not reached in about 2 kilometers, let's go back. Ling Yan's expression changed slightly. In the end, I chose to move forward a little further. Meow, meow. Zio Huey Huey rubbed his head against Ling Yan. Show a happy expression. Then again towards that direction. Stretch out your little paws. Ling Yan didn't waste any more words. Run straight in that direction. He wouldn't dare to fly on a rainy day, afraid of being struck by lightning. This is the experience that the predecessors summarized with their lives. Lingyan dared not disbelieve. Bow, bow, bow. After walking a short distance ahead, the little gray one in my arms suddenly started struggling wildly, opening his arms, running toward a fallen tree struck by lightning. Ling Yan also saw it at this moment. It seems like something is pressed under the big tree. However, due to the weather issues, the view is not very clear. As I got closer to take a look, his brow couldn't help but furrow, that which is pressed down by the big tree. It turns out to be Liu Lion. How did this woman end up here? Ling Yin suddenly thought of this afternoon. He seemed to take out a flying device to search for Zio Huey. Was I struck by lightning? He walked closer and assessed Liu Lion. He discovered that he still had breath, but quite weak. After all, I am a foundation building cultivator. It shouldn't be that easy. Just die. Looking at him, there were hardly any marks on his body. It shouldn't have been struck by lightning. But it wasn't the time to think about this. The current question is, does this woman really need saving? After saving, don't say she will be grateful. No gratitude for kindness turned to enmity. That's already considered good. Moreover, it always feels like her mind isn't quite right. I just like seeing others in pain. If it makes her unhappy, she might even draw her sword against you. So troublesome. At this moment, Zio Huey also noticed Ling Yan's hesitation. So, she originally seemed to have a look of redemption. Once again became sad. She approached Ling Yan with a sorrowful expression, gently tugged at her pant leg, trembling body, kneeling on all fours, pressing my head against Ling Yan's shoe tip. Meow, meow. Ling Yan looked at her pitiful appearance. I truly cannot bear it in my heart. He picked her up. Put it on your shoulder. He gently patted her head and said, I never said I wouldn't save you. After confirming, Ling Yan no longer hesitated, looking at this giant tree. Even if I mobilize all my body's spiritual energy, lift her up, it is quite exhausting as well. Not to mention having to pull her out from under the big tree. If it weren't for this heavy rain, loosened the soil on the ground, Liu Lion probably died a long time ago. The foundation establishment cultivator lost the support of spiritual energy. If it weren't for physical training, the physical body of ordinary spiritual cultivation, but better than mortal dancers. Just a significant improvement. I want to spend a talisman on you. I really owe you from my past life. Ling Yan gritted her teeth. He took out a talisman from the Kieu bag. After injecting spiritual power, stuck on his own neck. Suddenly, this spiritual talisman, it's as if merging directly into Ling Yan's body, vanished without a trace. Only a symbol remained, like a tattoo. Give me, and Ling Yan single-handedly lifted this large tree. Then a hand grasped Liu Lion's body, dragged her out. After rescuing the unconscious Liu Lion, she then put down this big tree. Suddenly, mud splashed everywhere nearby. Life is tough enough. Ling Yan channeled her spiritual energy, form a transparent shield. Liu Lion was also enveloped in it, although she is now completely soaked. But if it goes on like this, will you get sick? Ling Yan also doesn't know. Although it is said that the body is adorned, it's almost impossible to get sick. But after all, they are human too. No one can say for sure. At this moment, Liu Lion's appearance. Truly in a dire situation. Originally, there was a fierce and unyielding spirit. She looked like a gentle and melancholic fairy. Now it has fallen to the mortal realm, soaked from head to toe, clothes and body. They were all soaked in mud, like a clay statue, but the clothes are completely soaked. Showed off her graceful figure. It stands out. Ling Long has a graceful figure. Ling Yan wiped her face clean with her hand. Ensure breathing through the mouth and nose. Then, from the Kieu bag, take out a healing elixir. Give Liu Lion the medicine, even though it was forced in. Pei Xiu, looking thin and scrawny. I didn't expect it to be so heavy. Ling Yan carried her on his back, and little Gray is using one's own spiritual power. Form a protective shield. after a short while ago. Her aura has also recovered a bit. Then lead the way ahead. Let's go back. Zio Huey Yui nodded at Lingyan, then ran ahead. It was completely dark. Add to this disastrous climate. The visibility is extremely obstructed. Just carrying a person is one thing. This spirit's words can easily be accomplished. However, releasing spiritual power form a protective shield for two people. This is significant for Ling Yan. It's just a bit exhausting, especially with the gusts of wind now and then. They also brought a gift for our meeting. Further intensified the consumption of spiritual power. Now, Brass, forget about this branch. Why can the whole tree be broken directly? Lingyan dodged a tree. After the felled tree was blown away, couldn't help but curse out loud. Meow, meow. No problem. Let's keep walking. We need to hurry. I can't sustain my spiritual energy for much longer. Lingyan extended one hand. Take out a spirit replenishing elixir. Stuff it in your mouth. However, the effects cannot be restored immediately. This can only speed up the recovery of spiritual energy, but still cannot get under the skin. He turned his head to take a glance at the breath. The willow lotus has gradually stabilized. I couldn't help but curse a couple of times in my heart. In the past, he sowed discord between him and the new students. After that, they all looked at him with disdain. In the end, they even started fighting directly. Now you still let him work himself to death for you. You're doing well, sleeping quite soundly. Ling Yan was so angry inside. Returned the same way. When passing by that small creek, now it should be said that the rushing river was. Ling Yan also encountered difficulties. At this moment, he is staring ahead. That 20-meter long giant python, a face full of distress. Speak. Within the sect's territory. Why does this kind of monster still exist? Meow. Stop meowing. I don't understand either. Meow. Neep can transform into human form. I egg, able to use magical arts. Generally, one is at odds with others. Spirit beast has a certain level of intelligence, unable to transform into human form, can use magic, generally close to people. Strange, low intelligence. Follow the beast's instinct. Absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Strengthen the body. Generally, I just eat and sleep. Slept and ate. What a coincidence. Heavy rainstorm. This damn thing. I can't believe it got blocked. If it weren't for Zio Huey just now, suddenly stopped in place. Charge forward, hair standing on end. Lingyan hadn't even noticed the giant python yet. Their skin, at this moment, it's simply the best camouflage color. Fierce beast. Let's not interfere with each other. I took a detour. Don't sneak attack me. Will it work? Watching the giant python that is already restless, Ling Yan said with a playful smile. At the same time, the body gradually moved back. I didn't expect him to understand, but at this moment, I feel anxious if I don't say something. The giant python. Yet there was no intention to let Ling Yan go at all. For him, Ling Yan and the willow lotus on his back. It's the best food. Aura overflowing. Siamese is delicious but unlucky. At this moment, you shouldn't be at home. Is it right to sleep comfortably? Why did you come out to forage? Watching the increasingly fast giant python, Lingyan didn't hesitate to turn and run. But the direction of the escape isn't right. The resistance brought by the strong wind is too great. In no time, I was almost caught by the giant python. You forced my hand. Lingyan no longer ran away, turning back again, facing the giant python that is almost within reach. Using spiritual power to bind Liu Lion to him, he instantly drew his sword, chopped towards the head of the giant python. Again, the sound of metal clashing echoed. The giant python suddenly dodged his attack in an instant. With a hard back, he endured the blow. This sword was gifted to him by his senior sister. Yuangji, top spirit sword. Ling Yan named him Fanshan. Usually, this spiritual weapon can cut through iron like mud. But today, it's only on the scales of this vibrant giant python. It only left a white mark. What the hell? This spirit shard is harder than iron. Lingyan feels a bit regretful. At that time, he considered his abilities to be limited. If there are powerful spiritual weapons in hand, avoiding difficulties can make others envious. Even the thought of killing for treasure arose. So he politely declined the senior sister who wanted to force the high-grade spirit sword upon him, chose a top-tier yellow-ranked spirit sword. At that moment, Mu-Er's expression was filled with regret. Now Lingyan's expression shows just how regretful she is. I should have taken it earlier. It's also good to keep it as a last resort. As his thoughts wandered endlessly, the giant python also retaliated with considerable pain and anger. The huge tail was like a thick wick. He swung fiercely toward Ling Yan, although Ling Yan has already created some distance. But this python is really too long. His tail really has a wide attack range. Ban. A loud bang. Ling Yan was instantly knocked away as the spirit sword swung in front of him. While in the air, Ling Yan released the spirit sword. He wrapped his arms around Liu Lion, pulling her close to him. When landed, he used his body as a buffer, helped Liu Lion withstand most of the damage. But the result of doing this, he suffered a serious secondary injury. The body crashed heavily onto the ground, then slid along the ground for a distance, until the body collided violently with a large tree before coming to a stop. And so painful, Lingyan couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Blood slowly oozes from the top of the head, mud and blood intertwined on the face, making him appear exceptionally ferocious at this moment. This bastard. You think I'm easy to bully, huh? He watched the giant python entangled with Zio Huey, gritting teeth in anger. To hell with you. San Hao was indeed right about this. Good people are often taken advantage of. The problem is, these are not individuals. Come step on me too. He glanced at the Liu Lion tightly held in his arms. After discovering he was not harmed again, Ling Yan let out a sigh of relief. Although their bodies were tightly pressed against each other, they can feel each other's warmth. But this situation, what a ridiculous atmosphere you have. In the face of life and death, I am extremely nervous. Ling Yan leaned Liu Lion's body against the tree. Then the remaining spiritual energy within him was limited. Divide apart. Form a protective shield. Protect Liu Lion. There is nowhere else to go. Let's make do with this for now. If struck by lightning, just consider it as having done too many bad things. Little Gray, come back to take care of him. Let me take over. Ling Yan shouted loudly. One move of the hand. The mortal sword returned to his hand, then charged towards the giant python again. Zio Huey saw that Ling Yan had recovered, so he hurriedly pulled away. He is not a match for this brute. Can only rely on my own reactions and agility. Just hold him off for a while. Fallen from the mortal realm, Ling Yan channeled the remaining spiritual energy in his hands. All enter the spirit sword. Activate the runes of Sister Valkyrie Mink. Suddenly, an extremely powerful aura surged, bursting out from within. The mortal sword was suddenly enveloped by a surge of immense spiritual energy. A massive sword was formed, the breath it brought with it. We have reached the mid-level of the mainframe. Give me. Go die. Ling Yan roared angrily. Swing the giant sword fiercely towards the giant python. Amidst the unwilling roar of the giant python, it appeared in utter disarray. Woohoo! He saw that the giant python was already dead, unable to support my body any longer, sat down abruptly on the ground. Anyway, I'm already soaked from head to toe. I don't care about these things anymore. Bow, bow. Okay, okay, okay. Coming right up, Ling Yan looked into the distance. Little Huey with an anxious expression. Sighing deeply, I took a breath. Support the sword with your hand. He forced himself to stand up. He is currently in a state of the depth of sorrow in the world. Reluctantly, after escaping, I took a pill. A gentle warmth flows through the body, although very slow. But it is indeed recovering. He came before Liu Lion. He picked her up again. Then continue. Follow Xiao Huey ahead. After swaying and flying over this river, falling back to the ground. Keep walking. At this moment, Ling Yan. I also slowly felt the weight of the willow lotus behind grew heavier. It was easy to carry from the very beginning. I feel like I've been carrying a small mountain, together through wind and rain. Thunder plays music. Occasionally I slip. The body crashed heavily onto the ground. But Ling Yan gritted her teeth, cursed harshly a few times, climbed up again, even her calves. Hit by a branch. He didn't even realize he had a bloody hole. I just feel that my legs are a bit weak, growing increasingly powerless. But that's just how it is. She continues to move forward step by step. Only bloody footprints were left behind. Lingyan didn't know either. How long have I walked alone? I also forgot how I came this way. She kept following Xiao Huey. Lying Liang walked with a cough. My mind feels a bit hazy. Yet my own breathing became increasingly rapid. The sound grew louder. In the end, she felt like her heart was about to explode. It felt as if I would die at any moment. Meow. Suddenly, little Huey walking ahead, suddenly called out. Ling Yan was awakened from a semi-conscious state. She lifted her head to look. Those eyes that were gradually losing their luster, once again filled with brightness. Ad, the lights are dazzling. Ling Yan carried Liu Lion back to their residence. He directly threw her onto his bed. Just ignore her. I am covered in mud. She also wanted to carry it to Liu Lion's own room. But there is a barrier in her room. Cannot open. Rely on. Emotions are currently the most severely hurt. It's me, that's right. Ling Yan gave her a rough check-up. I found her breathing to be relatively steady, just unconscious and unresponsive. It felt like the aftermath of using some secret technique. When she sighed in relief, when you let go of your worries, suddenly realized, I look even more miserable than Liu Lion. The face was covered in mud and blood. It looks dirty. I don't even know when the skin on my hand broke, although it has already stopped. But it is indeed quite shocking to see, especially her calves. From time to time, a sharp pain would strike. Until this moment, she just realized her calf. I didn't even know when. Stuck with a piece of branch. Stop shouting. You stay here with her first. She won't die. I'll take care of my wound first. Then I'll find a way to wake her up later. Lin Yame angrily glared at the worried figure by the bed. Looking at Liu Lion's little gray, he said, It's hard to believe that a cat can display such vivid expressions. According to Sanhao Zhenren, it means, even the young heartthrobs must bow down to learn from their masters. Boo, I really don't know what I did in my past life. I just want to quietly cultivate my immortality. Live for thousands of years, 10,000 years, until I'm tired of living. I have endured enough hardships in my childhood. Didn't expect that. I want to experience it again now. Lin Yan mumbled to herself while cleaning oneself. Then apply medicine to yourself. She doesn't want to waste so many words either, but the blood in front began to blur. She was afraid she would faint. No one will come to see her then. That would be quite a trouble, until the last wound was bandaged. She took another pill. Returning to the room, I sat on the floor to restore my energy. But it wasn't long before she got up again. You are watching her here. I will go find someone to treat her. I'm not really able to lend a hand. Otherwise, she'll find out. I definitely can't stay in this sect any longer. You might even get killed. Meow, you don't argue at all. Lin Yan looked at Sayo Huey. Surprisingly, they nodded in agreement. The lips trembled slightly. She became even more determined. The decision to send Liu Lion away. I absolutely don't want to get involved with her. I'm leaving, wait for me to come back. Leaving behind such a statement. Lin Yan limped along, running towards Huang Zhai's office residence. But there is one thing she forgot. It is now evening, outside of office hours. So not long after, she came running back, looking dejected. I'm really stupid, really, without any surprises. She was left out in the cold. Sayo Huey saw her looking so downcast. I already know what happened. Her expression slightly shifted to a hint of disappointment. It's nothing. She must have used some secret method to fall into a coma. I don't know what exactly happened. You can't speak either. It's really difficult. Lin Yan perked up a little. Then he said to Sayo Huey, don't worry. Wait until tomorrow morning. I went to Huang Zhai's place to seek her help. Lin Yan also felt a bit helpless. The scope of the Daozong sect. It's really wide, which is a bit frightening. Not encountering flight is troublesome. If only I could be like those golden elixir masters. Just ignore the thunder. Sighed again at my own lack of strength. Then obediently use spiritual power. Dry off the moisture on Liu Lion's body. Wiped her face again. Keep her in a relatively clean state. However, her bedding and such were considered ruined. When the sky clears up, wash it well. It needs to dry a bit longer. You really are a hassle. Lin Yan angrily cursed. Then I sat cross-legged on the ground to meditate and cultivate. Accelerate the recovery of spiritual energy. When the next day arrived, the sky began to brighten slightly. Lin Yan knew it was already morning. Moreover, at this hour, Deacon Huang should already be at the office. Sayo Huey, I'll go out again. Lost this sentence. Also not waiting for the little Huey lying by the bed. What reaction is there? Lin Yan opened the door, ran out, braving the still unrelenting storm. This time, when she arrived at the Spirit Beast Wind office, she saw from a distance. The light of the spirit lamp has already been lit. Knock, knock, knock. Yuan Zhaishi, arriving at her office. Lin Yan knocked on the door. After Elder Huang opened the door, looking at Lin Yan with a bit of curiosity. At this moment, why did she come over? What happened? Early in the morning. And it's this kind of stormy weather. Is there something urgent? A disciple was seriously injured. Fell into a coma. I can't send him to Ling Yaofeng for treatment right now. Lin Yan briefly explained the situation. Deacon Huang's expression also became a bit serious. Let's go. I'm going to take a look. I'll go take a look.